Recording.
Okay, Jordan, we're off camera now.
All of us?
No, just Jared and I.
I noticed that.
So you can introduce us and we'll go back on.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna introduce the whole concept and then get to you guys.
You're live now. You're live.
Hi, my name is Ron Ahrens, and this is a session called Game Show Deathmatch. And welcome to all. I'm going to turn it over to Jordan, who will take it from there. Jordan.
Hi, everyone. Oh, jeez. All right, hang on. I'm going to violate COVID protocols. But this is Genealogy Deathmatch. First ever. World premiere. Yet somehow Randy Schoenberg is our reigning champion. Okay. It's going to be played like a cage match, a cage fight. We're going to go for 2 hours, 15 rounds. Audience gets to vote. We've got 3 judges. Let me introduce our judges first. We have Alex Calzareth, who is going to, yes, he's our German specialist. He's got a CPA. He's a CPA with a German minor. That sounds like a felony. He started researching his family at age 13. Yes, we all have childhood regrets. Went to his first genealogy conference in 1999. Let's see, his great-grandparents, immigrants from Minsk. He's more than one neighbor brother. Oh, apparently he's got relatives in the world's oldest profession, so he's got a lot more in his family tree than we can imagine. He only discovered, let's say, her father through DNA, recently a member of the Reclaim the Records. He's got official calendars, emails, and otherwise tortures the records access officers. Go, Alex. Next, we have Sarina Roffe. Did I pronounce that right, Sarina?
Roffe.
Well, excuse me all to hell. She's our Sephardic expert, a professional genealogist and author with over 30 years' experience. She's the editor of DeRote for the JGS New York, responsible for the notorious swimsuit issue. She kicked off of the IAJGS board. Well, she replaced Jarrett, of course. No, I'm sorry. She was kicked off the board. Jarrett replaced her. Jarrett, our contestant. So can you be impartial as a judge?
You bet.
Okay, our next judge, Daniel Horowitz. Daniel, where are you? Daniel? Okay, well, Daniel Horowitz is our Hebrew Ladino. He's our language guy, genealogy expert at MyHeritage. He lecturing virtually in conferences around the world, but who isn't these days? He's been dedicated to genealogy since 1986. The rest of us have social lives. No, just kidding. He's a teacher of family history project, searching for my roots in Venezuela for 15 years. Woo! Volunteers at IGRA, the Israel Genealogy Association. Okay, those are our judges. 3 judges. We have visuals on all except for Daniel, who we'll see later. And now, let's introduce our contestants for Genealogy Deathmatch. We're thinking Rumble in the Jungle. Maybe we'll have Tsuris in the Forest, but, you know, come on. Okay. Our first contestant is Millennial Jarrett, the GeneaVlogger Ross, who began researching his family in 2009 while at the University of Pittsburgh, an undergraduate, while everyone else was going to keggers. Thank you. There he is. His tree has over 7,000 people, many actually related to him. Jarrett blogs Sephardic genealogy and vlogs, as the kids these days are doing, the genealogical vlogger. Jarrett solves cold cases as a forensic genealogist using DNA. And he's a volunteer curator on Genie.com. He's a search angel that helps people find their biological family and vice president of the Triangle... I'm sorry, that's not Triangle Shirtwaist. The Triangle JGS in North Carolina. He expects to be portrayed by Damian Lewis in the film of his life, but we're lucky enough it'll be Seth Rogen. And now, defending champion, weighing in at 140 pounds, according to his expired driver's license, Randy the GeneaVlogger Schoenberg. Randy boasts a family tree with over 190,000 profiles, scores of relatives, and the largest collection of unwashed gym socks in the developed world. Randy volunteers more than Jarrett at genie.com and knits sweaters for Sudanese refugees in Minnesota. He was also Ryan Reynolds' stand-in Deadpool 2. Randy also holds the IAJGS record for the most slides in a single 1-hour presentation. Okay, so we now have our contestants. We now have our judges. Let's get to the rules. 15 rounds. The judges will figure out the criteria for a knockout, TKO, and a standing 8 count. We have no idea what we're doing because this is totally unprecedented. We will check in with the judges after rounds 3, 6, and 9. There will be polls at every round where the audience, you guys, will check in. Look to the upper right of your screen, and there should be a section that says, where does it? Or if you hit on the chat button, you've got Q&A, polls, handouts. By the way, each of our contestants have supplied PDFs of their whole agenda, so you can download those if you want. Collect them, trade them. Remember, in a couple of years, they'll be just as valuable. Okay, so the rules. Each round, each contestant will have 2 minutes. I will be doing the timer. When you hear, they will have to stop. Whoever goes first will be determined by a coin flip. For neutrality, we are using a Swedish Corona, which I'm sure they're regretting the name of that coin as we speak. All right, so I'm going to flip the coin. And who's going to call what? The winner goes first in each round. Jarrett, heads or tails? Randy, heads or tails?
Heads.
Jarrett calls heads, and it is indeed heads. So Jarrett will be going first, and batting cleanup will be Randy Schoenberg. All right, are you ready to rumble? Audience? Okay, we're going to start the first round when I hit the bell. And are you ready, Jarrett?
All right. So
Go.
Starting out, hello, everybody. I am Jarrett Ross, and I need to prove that I am me. So here we're going to start with some things of my birth. On the left, we have some of the items that were given to my parents at the hospital in Tarzana, California, and my certificate of birth, which I must say looks a lot nicer than Randy's certificate of birth, in my opinion. And here we have another one of my birth certificates with a beautiful picture of me as a baby. And you can see my name, my parents, Richard and Sandra Ross, Sandra being the important one to remember. Born in Tarzana Medical Center in California, in Los Angeles, at 1:11 p.m. I was born at 111, or 1311, as some may know it, on the 20th of September, 1987. I only weighed 6 pounds, 9.5 ounces. I weigh a little bit more than that now, and I was only 19 inches. Here we have an index from the California Birth Index. This is from Ancestry.com. Many of you may recognize a page just like this. And here is my indexed birth. And you can see my mother's maiden name is Nunes. Many may want to say Nunez, but it's not. It's Nunes. Here we have some pictures of me with my sister, Michaela. Of course, I was an amazingly gorgeous child, as my sister is. We have amazing genes in this family, as we'll see when we get into the DNA. Now, of course, I had to be bar mitzvahed, so bar mitzvahed October 14th, the year 2000, which is actually a holiday. Does anyone know what holiday that is, though? Okay. I've also been in the papers for many times. I've been doing lots of things. My first genealogy presentation was at Triangle Jewish Genealogy Society. And here's a picture of me. And
Okay. Now, Next, Randy, the vlogger Schoenberg, will now try to prove that he exists in one generation to the satisfaction of the judges. Are you ready?
I think so, Jordan. I'm ready. Okay.
Go.
Here I am. I'm proving that I am the son of Ronald, Schoenberg, and Barbara. The one underlined is the one you have to focus on. It's my dad, Ronald. Here's my driver's license. I was born September 12th, 1966. That matches my old passport and my current passport. It matches my Austrian passport and my Austrian citizenship that I got in 2014. Here's my baby announcement sent to my great-grandmother. And here's the inside. It even has my parents, Ron and Barbara. See that? California birth index. Go California. Mother's maiden name Zeisel. It all matches. Here's the certificate of live birth from California. I'm a little bit older than Jarrett, like 20-something years. But there's my parents, Ronald Rudolph Schoenberg. That's my dad. There's me, age 11, in front of my family tree. Started early, I guess. Here's the obligatory bar mitzvah picture. There's the ketubas. We have 2 of them from our wedding. That's a long story. In Cincinnati, Ohio. And here's the abstract of marriage from Cincinnati, showing my parents. And there's me and my dad, because we're going to try to prove that I'm my dad's son. Might as well go to DNA. There he is. He looks like my father. And my dad is my only Y DNA match at 67 markers, my only one. And I think that's it. All right, that's it. Did I come in under time?
You've got 30 seconds left.
I'm done. That's me. I'm my dad's son. I think I proved it. Right? There it is.
All right. Are you calling it time now?
I'm done.
Okay.
Take time.
Well, Randy has made his presentation in 1 minute and 45 seconds. So it goes to the judge and audience. Audience, you tell me who won. Check in on the poll. Who won round 1? And I can't vote on that. So, all right. Jarrett, are you ready for round 2, the next generation? And judges,
I am ready.
Sure you have scored the first round to see who won. All right. If you're ready, let's start round 2, the next generation.
All right, so we are with my mother, Sandy Ellen Nunezvaz, born January 27th, 1952. And the one to focus on is her father, Myron Alvin Nunezvaz. Here we have some pictures of my mother, one from her high school photo, her high school yearbook, and then another from her college yearbook. As well, in college, she was part of a sorority and was the vice president. So here are some of the photos of her in her sorority. She got married to my father in 1982 in New Haven. And here we have the Connecticut Marriage Index, as well as a picture of my parents at their wedding in 1982. And then here we also have the family newspaper articles about my mom. They won $25,000 some years ago. As well, my mother is a potter. But the big thing is to prove that she is my mother. And how to do that is DNA. So here I have my mom matching me up at the top. And then just to show for sure, I have my dad, my sister, and my grandmother as well. This is through MyHeritage. Hint, hint, Daniel Horowitz. And this just shows my DNA. But in case you don't trust MyHeritage, here's family tree DNA. Here I am matching my dad, my mom, my sister, and my grandmother. So the DNA proving that my mother is my mother. And that is it for my second round.
Okay, so Jarrett has come in 1 minute and 40 seconds for round 2. So we now take it to Randy. He's got to prove his second generation. Can you do it? We're going to start now.
Okay, so I'm going to prove that my father, Ronald Schoenberg, who changed his name from Rudolph Ronald to Ronald R., is the son of his parents, Arnold Schoenberg and Gertrude, and focus on Arnold. Okay, so here's my dad's driver's license. His date of birth, May 26, 1937. Here's his passport. He also has an Austrian citizenship. He was married to my mom, and here's the marriage certificate with their signatures. November. You can do the math. How long before I was born were they married? Not. The first kid has to be at least 9 months to be safe. I think I'm safe. Okay, here's my dad's certificate of marriage, the marriage index. Here's the 1940 census with the Schoenberg family on Rockingham, where they still live. And at the bottom of that page, you see George Temple. That's the father of Shirley Temple, who lived across the street. So I put a picture of them in there. Here's my dad in the California birth index. He was born in California in 1937. His mother's maiden name is Kolish. And here is his birth certificate, May 26, 1937, showing that his parents are Arnold Schoenberg and Gertrude Kolish. And there's a page from an album that my grandfather wrote. He was very old. He was 63 in 1937, and he said he wanted to live to the year 2000 when my dad would be 63, so he could see what would become of him, because he knew he wouldn't live very long. He died when my dad was just 14.
Oh.
And there's another picture with the birth announcement. You see his original name was Rudolph Ronald. In California, you don't have to actually go through any legal process to change your name, so he just became Ronald R. And there finally is my grandfather's diary that says on Wednesday, May 26th at 7:16, birth, Geburt, of my father. And that is my father. He is the son of Arnold Schoenberg.
Okay. Well, that took 2 minutes. All right. So, audience, time to vote.
Jordan, can you remind people they can ask questions in the Q&A?
Yes. We'll get to that shortly. If you do have any questions about the documents or anything for our contestants, judges, or what have you, put that in the chat. We will take questions at the end of the entire bout after a winner, and if there's a split decision, you can still weigh in on that. All right. So, because we're going right through this, Jared, are you ready for Generation 3? All right. Who cares? We're going anyway.
All right. So now we're at my grandfather, Myron Alvin Nunezvaz, and I don't know why it says daughter. He is actually the son of. Don't count that against me. We're going to focus on Morris Alvin Nunezvaz, his father. So, starting out, my grandfather was in the 1930 census as well as the 1940 census in New Haven, Connecticut. And here we have some photos from right around that time from my grandfather's personal photo album, including some of his notations about what's going on in the photos. Here we have his World War II draft record, showing his name, showing his birth date, June 5th, 1925, showing his mother, Jenny Nunezvaz, and the address where they lived, 565 Ellsworth Avenue. Here we have some more photos from my grandfather's personal photo album of him working back when he used to work on neo-noir films in the 40s. And here we have one of the screenshots of one of those films in which he wrote the story.
Ooh.
This one is called The Case of the Babysitter, and you can actually watch it on YouTube. Here we have an announcement for the wedding between my grandparents, Betty Ecoff, who was a DNA match, who you saw earlier. And we have the announcement showing that she was marrying to Myron A. Nunes, son of Mr. and Mrs. Morris Nunes of Los Angeles, California, as well as a photo from the wedding. Here we have the Index 2 marriages, and this is from the California indexes. And so we have Betty A. Ecoff married to Myron A. Nunezvaz. Going on, we have the New Haven City Directory, where they were living in 1967. We have Jenny, widow of Morris, above, and Myron below. Then we have the Social Security Death Index from 1985 and his grave.
And the round is over. I'm sorry there, Jarrett. It's going to be up to the judges if you made your case. Now we go, in all fairness, to Randy, who's going for Generation number 3. Ready to rock? Go.
Okay, so I'm going to prove that my grandfather, Arnold Schoenberg, who was born September 13th, 1874, is the son of Samuel Schoenberg and Paulina Nachod. Focus on his mother, Paulina. Okay, here I am with my kids at the grave. His grave is actually in Vienna, where he got an honorary grave after his 100th birthday. But he died in Los Angeles on July 13th, 1951. And there they are living at Rockingham. Here's his last will and his death mask by Anna Mahler, the daughter of Gustav Mahler. That's a thing. Okay, so here's his immigrant ID card from 1935. A couple of years after he fled the Nazis and came to the United States. Here's his declaration of intention and his petition for naturalization. Took 5 years. There it is. So it says he was born in Vienna, Austria on September 13th, 1874. And again, same thing on the petition. So here's his marriage to my grandmother, Gertrude Kolisch, in 1924 in Mödling. There's a marriage certificate. There's yet another marriage certificate. He was married first, though, to Matilda Zemlinsky, who died before he married my grandmother. And here's the first marriage in 1901. Shows his parents, Samuel Schoenberg and Paulina Nachud, sort of in the middle there. And my grandfather actually was baptized in 1898, and these are the baptismal records, which Jews don't generally have, but he did. But don't worry, he reconverted to Judaism in 1933, and here's the reconversion certificate signed by Marc Chagall and Albert Einstein's son-in-law, David Marionov. And here is his Czech passport. He was a Czech citizen, his Berlin and French and Hungarian.
Sorry, Randy, we're going to have to leave it.
Sorry. Okay.
That's okay. That's okay. So now everyone gets to weigh in, and we're going to take a pause and talk to our judges right now. I'd like to mention we have about 500 attendees out there with nothing better to do, including any relation to the people not related to us. So this is good. So judges, we've got a lot here. We've got 2 September babies. Does that mean they have the same astrological sign, or are they born in the same Hebrew month? That's a question here. And it looks like Jonah Hill will be playing Jarrett's father in the movie. So, all right, so we have a lot of documentation. We've got DNA, we've got documents, we've got photographs, and even Randy threw in a death mask. I don't know if that's a trump card, but that's pretty impressive as far as where I'm coming from. So, judges, where do we stand at this point? We're not giving scores, but how are you feeling about this, our first ever genealogy death match? Sarina, why don't we hear from you? Well, yes, that's great. Do we have a sign language interpreter? I suppose not. Sarina? It's okay. It's like walking through a minefield.
I was on mute.
Yes, apparently. I know. We wish we could do that to our audience.
Right, exactly. Well, I got to tell you, I got to give Randy credit for all those passports and stuff like that. But then again, Jarrett gets it for those newspaper clippings. I want to know what happened to the baby footprints on the birth certificates, because neither one of you had that. I think those footprints are really, we gotta make sure that you really are who you are and compare them today.
All right. Well, thank you, Sarina. Let's see what Daniel Horowitz feels about this at the early stage. Danny.
Well, I like that Jared has a DNA test, and I'm a little bit concerned with Randy and that double marriage of the grandfather. I'm not sure the father and the mother are really the babies from the second marriage and not the first marriage. So that's still to be seen.
Okay. Now, Alex, how are you at this early stage of the competition? I know you and Sarina may have it. No, I'm sorry. Jared and Sarina have issues, but I think Sarina can still be fair here. Alex, what's your take on this?
So I don't know so far. I see a lot of copies of records, a lot of pictures, but the pictures don't really prove the relationships. I really don't think I saw from Jared any documentation proving that his grandfather was his mother's father yet.
Oh, so we have an uphill battle here to face.
Link, and if that link is incorrect, then hopefully there's something later on that solidifies that.
Well,
But-
and what do you feel about the gender fluidity of his father being a daughter?
That could just be a typo, or maybe he's trying to conceal something larger.
Okay, well, we're not judging here. I mean, it's gender is now, of course, the big thing these days. All right, so thank you for weighing in. We're now going to go to round 4, which, because of the coin flip, starts with Jarrett. Okay, Jarrett, cue up for round 4.
All right, I have to unmute. Okay, so we are on my great-grandfather Morris Alvin Nunezvaz, born May 21st, 1897 in St. Botolph, London, England, son of Abraham Hayam Nunezvaz and Jane Moscow. Best place to start, GRO birth certificate of Morris, born in May 1897, son of Abraham Nunezvaz and Jane Nunezvaz, formerly Moscow. Going on, here we have Morris attending school in London until August 30th, 1901, when his family moved back to the U.S. That's right, back. They moved to the U.S., back to England, and then back to the U.S. Here we have his World War I draft record as well, Morris Nunezvaz. We show that he was born in London, England, May 21st, 1897, and we even have his mother, Jane Nunezvaz. Going on from here, he was a theater owner, mostly in New Haven. We have a couple of newspaper clippings showing that he was a theater owner, including that he bought the famous Schubert Theater of New Haven. Here he was also part of the movies that we discussed for my grandfather, and we have a newspaper clipping about one of those movies, the Hatbox Mystery, as well as his film name, Maury Nunes, instead of Morris Nunezvaz, and a couple of screenshots, as well as a picture of him with his brother. Here we have his gravestone as well as the obituary from the newspaper showing that he is Morris A., husband of Jenny Epstein, who is not chopped-livered. And that is it.
Okay. Coming in under that. All right, so Randy, are you ready for round 4? And I just have to find my timer here, and we will start that. Okay, Randy, go. Randy, you're muted. Randy, you don't get this time back. Unmute, Randy.
Sorry. We're starting with Paulina Knockhood. Sorry. Showing that she is the daughter of Joseph Knockhood. Okay, there she is. She was a looker, my great-grandmother. Look at that. Okay, so here's her death in Berlin. She died in 1921. We got a few. This is from her marriage. Her dad had to apply for a waiver of fees because they had no money, I guess. And that was in 1872 when they were engaged. And here is the Vienna Marriage. You can find that on Jewish Gen, Tempelgasse Temple in 1872. Here is the marriage record showing Samuel Schoenberg and Paulina Knockhood. Unfortunately, this gives her wrong date of birth and a wrong place of origin. She's also recorded in the Hungarian records because her husband was considered Hungarian. And there we have, again, her information, Paulina Knockhood, and in the lower left on the bottom, Joseph Knockhood, her father. And that's where we're going to go. So here's her birth, finally. Paulina, the daughter of Joseph Knockhood, on the lower left. He's a Gastwirt, an innkeeper, son of Gabriel Knockhood and Esther Zodex. And here's another version of that same birth record from the State Archives, 1848. So we do know the right date. And that is it. So my great-grandmother Paulina is the daughter of Joseph Knockhood, who will be coming up next.
Okay. Then that ends round 4. All right. Remember to submit your vote. And Jarrett, remember to take off your mute. And we're going to round 5.
All right, so we are at my second great-grandfather, Abraham Hayam Nunezvaz, born March 14th, 1867 in Spitalfields. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Died March 8th, 1936 in Boston, son of Raphael Nunezvaz and Reina Robles. The focus will be his father, Raphael. Starting out, we have the census records from England. So the 1871 census up top. We have Raphael Nunezvaz because the enumerator didn't know how to spell it. And we have Abraham second from the bottom at age 4. Below that, we have the 1881 England census, which is on 2 pages, which is why it looks so wonky. And you can see Raphael Nunezvaz at the top, and 3 below him is Abraham, my second great-grandfather. Continuing from there, we have the GRO record of the marriage of my second great-grandparents. Oh no, that's the wrong record. Skip that. That's so we're just going to jump to the 1891 England census. So we have Abraham Nunezvaz, Abraham Nunes listed here, married to Jane. And then we have his family as well. And then below that, we have the 1901 census with Abraham Nunes and Jane. And then you can actually see his son Morris, second from the bottom, Morris, who we discussed earlier. Here we have some photos of the family, which are just awesome, but they were colorized with the MyHeritage colorization tool. Here we have a Winthrop, Massachusetts directory showing Abraham Nunezvaz and his wife Jane, as well as a picture of the family on a picnic having a lot of fun. Here we have the Massachusetts death index for Abraham and his wife Jane Moscow. He died in 1936. We also have the gravestone, as well as his obituary. But let's go to DNA to make sure. We have all of these DNA matches matching my mom, who is SR, as well as some other matches through MyHeritage.
I'm sorry. I'm holding up the clock at 10 seconds just to let you guys know. So if I know there's no visible timer there, but a lot of you guys are actually coming in under. So now we go to the second part of round 5. Get ready there, Randy, and we will go.
Okay, we're at my great-great-grandfather, Joseph Nachod, who was born in Prague. And he is the son of Gabriel Nachod and Eva Zodek. So we already saw that, and we're going to see some more. So here's his grave in Vienna. Looking good, looking good. And is there anything interesting on the grave? Nah, not too much. Oh, it does say that his father is Gabriel. For Daniel Judge Horowitz, can you see that? See, his father's Gabriel there. Okay, if you can read the Hebrew. Here's his death record. And here is what's called the Card Index of Foreigners, or Kartei der Fremden, which shows he's from Prague, Joseph Nachod, and his kids. Paulina, my great-grandmother, is down there, second from the bottom. This is in Prague. They had a conscription in 1850 to list the family. They were living in Prague then. And again, you see the whole family. Paulina is his daughter is fourth from the bottom. Here's another conscription. This one actually indicates very small that they moved to Vienna in 1869 from Prague. So here's their marriage. Joseph and the father is Gabriel. You can see that, 1845. Here's the marriage. We have 2 versions of that, as usual in this area. And this is something called a Familiaten record, where they record the whole family. They needed to have permission to get married. And Joseph is on the bottom. His father Gabriel's on the top. And it even has the date of marriage at the very bottom there. And this is now his birth record, which has his last name wrong. It says Joseph, son of Gabriel Tachau. But in the index for that page, it says it correctly as Nachod. And the reason is because this is the original. And it's that second one there. And it's so faded, they couldn't read it very well and had the wrong one. And there he is. So anyway, I've proved that Joseph is the son of Gabriel Nachod. That's where we're going.
Okay. Remember to vote here. All right, so we're now going to round 6, generation 6. Jarrett, you are muted. Get ready to go.
I'm ready.
Remember to unmute, Jarrett. You are up.
All right, so we are at Raphael Nunezvaz, my third great-grandfather. Born November 22nd, 1837 in Amsterdam, died June 2nd, 1899 in Amsterdam, son of Abraham Nunezvaz and Sarah Lopez Diaz. Here we have the birth record for Raphael. This is from Family Search, this picture, and it is from the civil registrations, which started in 1811 after Napoleon came into the Netherlands and forced them to do civil registrations. But in case that's not good enough, we have the Gabor Register. This is a birth register in Amsterdam. This is held by the Portuguese Jewish community of Amsterdam. And we have at the bottom, Rafael, Filho de Abraham de Jacob Nunezvaz, as well as Sarah Lopez Diaz. So going on here, we actually have a military registration for Raphael, and it's showing that he had moved to London, so he wasn't going to be part of the military in the Netherlands. Here we have the Bevolking registers, which few are left because they were exploded in the Holocaust to save many people, but some survived. And here we have Raphael with his family and Abraham at the top. And these are like a census record, although a bit more like a revision list for those with Ukrainian ancestry. Here, this is part of the marriage records. This is a set of marriage records that they have to submit, showing the birth of the wife and the husband, as well as other information proving that they are who they are. Here we have another part of the marriage record from the Huwelijks Register, as well as a picture of Raphael. Now we have, it's glitching out. Okay, we have the the records of marriages consecrated by the chief rabbi.
Sorry, Jared, we're gonna have to hold it there. We did love the Ted Cruz picture, though. Okay, we're coming up now on Randy for round 6. Round 6, ready, set.
Okay, we're talking now about Gabriel Nachod. He's born in 1776 in Prague and dies in 1849. And he's the son of Daniel or of Victor Nachod. You're going to see a sort of a name change here. And Josefa or Pencil Bunstel. So you'll see that. Okay, so here's his death. He was buried in a cemetery that was destroyed in the 80s, and they built a radio tower. So his grave doesn't exist, but it was in wood. And here's the grave register that says Gabriel, son of a Victor. You see that in 1849 on that date. Okay, and here is something I found in Prague last year. It's it's sort of like a coroner's certificate that when he died, 29th November 1849, filled out there. It says he was a wedding planner. That was his job. So here it is again, his death record in a different book. He's a Hochzeitsbieter. Okay, so here's another death record. And here's his marriage. So here it says Gabriel Dan, not a Victor Nachod. And he's marrying Eva Zodek in 1801. This again is another version of that. Here you have some Hebrew signatures on the right. Sort of neat. And this is marriage permission in 1801. Matches up, and it all matches up with this, the Familianten record, which is Gabriel Nachod, Victor and Pessel are listed as his parents. And here's another version of the Familianten records. Same type of information. And this is his the census from 1794, where he's just listed as without parents and single. And this is an amazing thing published in 1905. It's a poem he wrote, sort of a wedding poem that one of his descendants published in 1905. It's about the creation of the world.
I'm sorry, but that is the end of round 6. End of round 6. Okay, everybody, remember to vote. Remember to vote. This will be a factor. We will have the audience choice as well as the judge's decision. So let's go back to the judges. Rounds 4, 5, and 6. We have a lot of back and forth between England and the U.S. for Jarrett, a film credit, and also a movie name. We have Randy, who in round 4 had inadvertently muted himself, but then came in under the timing. In round 5, we had a marriage with a photo, but it was the wrong record, so the judges may decide whether to foul him on that. He may lose valuable points. Or did he come back successfully from the clinch? All right, well, while our contestants are in their neutral corners, let's check in with our judges. Sarina, hopefully you're not muted. Any thoughts on this?
I am very, very impressed with Jarrett's Amsterdam records, and I'm a little jealous that I can't get those kind of records. These documents are fantastic on both sides. Both
Okay.
sides have really documented it well. So
All right.
I say they hit it out of the park.
Okay. Daniel, do you have any thoughts at this point? You're still muted, though, Daniel. So if you want to sign your answer, that would be interesting. Okay, you're back
Yes,
up.
I'm a little bit concerned. Like, I love Jarrett's DNA proof all over, but he showed us a wrong certificate, a wrong document. That's a problem. Now, in the other hand, Randy, he's showing us documents with different names of people. I don't know what to trust. Once he says Daniel, then says Dan, or I don't know what. Names changes every document. I haven't seen that ever.
So we have Randy may be the underdog here because it looks like we've had fouls on both sides then. Alex, where do you stand on this?
So I'm seeing a lot of good documents. Again, a lot of photos. Hopefully they're not stock photos. A little concerned that Jarrett's maybe trying to buy Daniel's vote with all this MyHeritage promotion. And my concern with Randy's documents are some of these are second copies. I know the originals were destroyed during World War II, but I don't know that that's an excuse. There could be copying errors, name mismatches. It's just, and everything's flying by so fast.
All right, thank you, Alex. Well, it sounds like our judges are a little split there. Sarina for Danny and Alex skeptical, but now it gets interesting because in Generation 7, we are edging out of the civil registration era. So we're going to have to go through a lot of more creative proofs. So, all right, out of your corners, competitors, as I reset the clock, and we go to round 7. And Jarrett, you're up.
All right, we are at my fourth great-grandfather, Abraham Nunezvaz, born March 21st, 1799 in Amsterdam, son of Jacob Nunezvaz and Simcha Senior Cornell, who we're going to focus on. Here we have the birth. This is from what's known as the Dupe registers or the Dopen, which are actually baptismal records, but the Jews had to submit them, and they are not baptisms. They're just births. And here we have the birth of Abraham, son of Jacob Nunezvaz, and son of Simcha de Aaron Senior Cornell. But in case that birth register isn't enough, we have the Gabor registers. These are the birth registers held by the Portuguese Jewish community of Amsterdam. And in the bottom left, we have Abraham Filo de Jacob Nunezvaz, de Sima de Aaron de Senior Cornell. Continuing, here we have their ketubah. And Abraham signs actually Abraham Nunezvaz Jacob Zun, very similar to if he had said Jacobson. So he's just indicating that he is the son of Jacob.
Keep going. Keep going.
You can see this. Okay, so we have the marriage.
Seconds left for Jarrett, because this is on us. Judges.
Okay, I think everyone's slowly getting back.
And we, of the 500 attendees, we're now back to 5.
You have 50.
Where's our technical staff
55 back on.
Elise, Ron,
Everybody was kicked out, including the admins, but people are coming back.
Lawrence Givens, Samantha Ozer, check in, please.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me right now?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, everybody got kicked out, including the admins, and we're all...
Okay, can you tell us what happened?
Me, I have absolutely no idea. And so the recording stopped. I restarted it again. People are coming back.
We have
Was I the one who was bumped out of the conference, or is everyone still there? And I'm
no, I think somebody pushed the wrong button.
No, everybody was bumped out. Everybody.
Yeah, I mean they might have booted us for having too much fun at this. Somebody
pushed the wrong button.
Could be broken an IHAGS rule. It was just getting interesting, though.
You could continue. I started the recording again. You can continue.
I mean, we were going for the full on Katuba.
Oh yeah, no, I'm coming.
I saw Randy out there in a clinch. Up against the ropes.
We have no attendees. We only have 49 of the 500 that were on.
Yeah, you're up to 58.
We've got 5 attendees.
58 attendees.
Sorry, everybody. This is not any of our calls.
58.
If you want to continue, there's recording going on. You can continue it if you want.
Yeah, continue.
Okay, go for it, I guess.
All right, I'm gonna let Jarrett. Where is Jarrett? Is he? Do we have Jarrett?
Yeah, I'm here.
Jarrett is everybody. All your presenters are there.
Go ahead, Jarrett. Finish.
All right. So going from
okay, Jarrett, we need a visual on you. I'm going to give you 40 seconds.
Oh,
to finish this round.
Can Jordan not hear me or see me?
We're taking you right where we stopped.
I can hear you.
No, actually, where we stopped hearing.
Yeah, everyone else can hear me. Jordan can't.
Right. No, but I lost the audio on Jarrett first, and then everything went.
Okay.
Jordan,
should I just start
Jarrett
the round
now?
over, or should we start where we left off?
Why don't you start?
I have no visual, but I got a blank screen showing that Jarrett is. Yeah.
Can you see Jarrett's screen now? You may need to refresh the browser. Just.
I can see Jarrett's slideshow, but I can't. I don't have a visual on Jarrett.
He's there. So go. Why don't you just continue? I mean, you can refresh your browser.
All right, we're loading Jarrett.
But Jarrett is there, and I think Jarrett just disappeared.
Jarrett, check in with confirm audio with us.
He's connected.
I've lost the chat box as well.
So,
I know it's back.
Jordan, why don't you let Randy go?
All right, we're going to let Randy go, but do we have the audience here for voting?
Yeah, 56 people.
So we've lost.
All right, Randy.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you go, but we're also going to give a 40-second rebuttal to Jarrett.
Jarrett, hold on just a second.
Do we know what slide he was up to?
Jarrett is disconnected, so let's get him back first.
Jarrett was in the Ketuva.
All right.
I don't know what to do about the fact that we've lost 90.
All right, he's coming back on. Jarrett is coming back on.
Randy, why don't you go in the meantime?
But we've lost 90% of
All right, who's throwing the fight here? Yeah, all right.
Well, we're recording anyway, so let's just go.
They will watch it on Netflix, so no worries. Keep going.
All right.
Okay. Everybody ready? We're at Daniel.
All right, so Randy, we're at round. Randy, I'm going to start you now. You've got 2 minutes.
Okay. We're at Daniel.
Randy, you ready?
Okay, Jarrett should be back now also. Nope, he just disappeared again. Okay.
Go.
Daniel or Victor Nahud was born in 1722 and died in 1792, and he is the son of Moses Nahud and Hindu.
All right, I'm not hearing audio.
So I can't do this if Jordan's going to not hear me.
Jordan, if you can hear me, just can you refresh your browser, please?
I
Can everyone hear
Jarrett,
me?
is Jarrett back?
Yes, Jarrett, we can hear you.
Woo.
Jarrett, you want to go? You want to go back to you? Go put your slideshow on because we're still having technical difficulties.
Okay.
We were doing so well.
Yeah. All right.
I'd like to tell the audience that this section of Genealogy Deathmatch was not brought to you by BigMarker.com.
All right.
For which they will be apologizing profusely.
Jarrett, you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Is everyone ready for me? Or Jordan, you ready?
Jarrett, you go. You have 40 seconds. I'll show up the clock when you have, well, it'll start.
Oh, okay.
Don't
So
worry.
I need to go back to where I was at before then, right?
Correct.
Cue up. I'm
Okay,
gonna give
so
you-
we're at the Ketubah.
Yes.
All right. So from the Ketubah, we're going to the Huwelik's Register. Huwelik is the marriage register. And so we have the marriage register for Abraham Nunezvaz. You can see at the top, marrying Sarah Lopez Diaz. Continuing from there, we have what's known as the Souza Book. This is a book of burials. We have Abraham up at the top. It's listed by first name. And then down below, it says Van Jacob. So Van Jacob being son of Jacob. And then it lists all of his children, including Raphael, born 1837. Below that, we have the record from burial at Beth Hayam, which are records made later, which are somewhat of a genealogical record.
I'm sorry, that's your 40 seconds, to be fair. The only disadvantage at this round will be that we've lost most of the audience, but still, whoever wins that vote will win that vote. Randy, are you ready for your part of round 7, assuming that we go for the full 2 minutes? Randy, take yourself off mute and go.
We're going to talk now about Daniel, or Avigdor Nahud, who lived from 1722 to August 13th, 1792 in Prague. He is the son of Moses Nahud, focus on Moses, and Hindela Alchul. Okay, so here's his death record. He died, as I said, August 13th, 1792, and it says Daniel Nahud. Daniel Nahud. But here you find the register from the cemetery, and has Avigdor, son of Moshe. That's the one at the bottom there. On the 25th of Av, 5552. That translates to August 13th, 1792. The same death that we had before, August 13th. So it's the same. Daniel is Avigdor. And here you have the proof. This is a family record that shows Avigdor Nahud and then his German name Dan right next to it, and it has his father, his 2 sons, Moses and Gabriel, 2 unmarried sons. So Gabriel was the one that we saw before, my 3rd great grandfather. And here is another listing, an alphabetical register where they listed all of the Avigdors. There were 2 of them, and the bottom one is Avigdor Nahud with, again, Moses and Gabriel. Gabriel, his 2nd son. Now, here's a really good document. This is the marriage record from 1760 that's held by the Jewish Museum of Prague archives, and it shows that Avigdor Moses Nahud, meaning Avigdor, the son of Moses Nahud, a shopkeeper, was married to Pesel, the daughter of Joseph Bunzel. And that was on the 12th of October, 1760. And here you have the marriage permissions list, which shows Avigdor Nahud and Pesel Bunzel having permission February 28th, 1760. And that refers to this document here.
I have to stop you now, Randy.
Oh, that's so sorry. That's a great document that I just ended on. Sorry about that.
Well, it's how it happens.
Marriage permission.
Okay. Randy, I'm sorry, whether the judges allow that or not is not up to me. But now we're going into the top of round 8, both equally handicapped by the technical snafu, we'll say, in round 7. Let's hope this holds out. Remember, the audience of 3 will be voting. So Let's go to the top of round 8, starting with Jarrett.
All right, we have Simcha Senior Cornell, born August 8th, 1766 in Amsterdam, died March 5th, 1847 in Amsterdam. She's the daughter of Aaron Senior Cornell and Benvenida Levi Montesinos. Here we have birth record for her from the Gabor Register up top. And we have a second version of the Gabor Register where it's listed by first name. So she was born August 8th, 1766, and she was the daughter of Aaron Senior Cornell. Here we have what's known as an Undertra Register, or a bonds of marriage. And you'll notice that the names are spelled a little bit differently. And that's because Dutch civil workers were the ones to write these records, and they would write the names in a Dutch style. So Senior Cornell, spelled Sinjoorcornel. We have her mark there, that little plus sign, and this is her marriage to Jacob Nunezvaz. Here we have the Beth Hayam burial register. So we have Sima Senior Cornell married to Jacob Van Raphael, and we have her mother Benvenida Levi Montesinos, and they also note that she comes up as Benvenida Levi Maduro. But even more importantly, we have the birth date August 8th, 1766 up top. And that's all I have for that generation.
Fantastic. Oh, you did that in 1 minute and 20 seconds. All right, so Randy, are you ready to start round number 8?
Once the slides pop up, there we go. Okay.
We are going.
Okay. Well, I'll start with the record that I missed last time, which is the marriage of Victor and Pestel, but it shows that he is the son of the deceased Moses Nachod, who we're going to talk about next. Moses was born probably before 1697 and died May 12th, 1759, and he is the son of Bennett Nachod. Focus on Bennett and Cherna, the daughter of Avigdor. So here is cemetery. It's like a cemetery index done by Leopold Popper, and it shows Bennett. We're talking about Moses, the son of Bennett Nachod. There's his grave transcription, also by Leopold Popper. Here's another transcription of the same grave by Otto Munelis. Again, he died in 1759. And here is the grave that I had photographed. I was there while it was being photographed by Daniel Polakovich at the end of last year. And it's Moshe, the son of Bennett, who died in 1759. And here is the 1748 sort of census when the Jews were allowed to return back to Prague. And it shows Moses Nachod with his sons Simcha and Avigdor. Remember Avigdor. And here's the 1729 census, which shows Moses, the son of Bennett Nachod, and his child Figdor. And this is the coup de grace. This is a Torah curtain that was given by his grandparents, Manas, the son of Shalom Nachod, and Frumedel. We're going to talk about her, the daughter of Joseph Ash, the grandparents of Moshe. They gave this in 1697. It's probably not his birth, but maybe his third birthday. And there's actually 2 of these curtains in the Jewish Museum of Prague that were given by the grandparents of Moses Nachod, the one we're talking about, in 1697. That is Moses, the son of Bennett Nachod. Awesome.
Well, you finished under there. I don't know, using a document from round 7, judges make a note of that, whether you will allow it or not. You have the final say on that. Now we go into round
once we're able to take this live, I think things will be a little bit smoother.
So we've lost Sarina's there though.
Yeah, I see her there. It looks like her video
She's
is.
there. Sarina, you may want to mute yourself when other people are talking because it was causing a little bit of an echo. Now we can go through technical things. Sorry, folks. We're trying to wait till everybody's back. We've got
I was muted.
It shows you on.
Something?
I guess not. I don't know. It showed you on. Anyway, Alex is back. Daniel's back. We're still waiting for Jordan, or we could continue without him.
I'm just going
At
to
least
advise
this time it didn't happen in the middle of a round.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that I caused this by trying to each time. I shouldn't admit this. Both times I tried to search for someone to do a private chat, and that's when it froze. And I thought that was a coincidence.
Looking at the chat, it looks like we had most of the folks there. Now, did everyone lose the signal? Or was it?
Apparently, you guys were not. Robin Maggot said that actually 450 people had rejoined. We just
no. So I'm going
Alex, don't touch that button again.
Yes, don't touch any buttons. Jordan, you're back with us. We can maybe keep going. I guess.
Yeah, I'm back now.
Yeah.
No, we'll start round 9 in just a second. I want to establish though, was this at my end or was everyone else like cut out?
Everybody.
Everybody was cut out.
But Robin said that
Okay.
480 people came back into the room.
I didn't
Well,
see that,
that's-
but I mean, I was seeing less, but it doesn't matter. We're still recording it.
We are Democrats.
You can't
That's loyalty
activate,
for you. I wonder.
Everybody or
you can't
nobody.
activate more than 9 mics at one time. That's why the system
We
keeps
can
crashing.
keep
You
going.
can't have
Yeah,
more than
it's-
9
it's-
people
it's-
at the same time.
Okay, but we don't
We're gonna
have.
restart.
We didn't have 9 mics going at the same time.
When I looked on, there were 14 presenters active and 6 administrators. And so if you're all concurrently trying to talk, it's going to keep flipping back and forth between who can talk and who can't.
Right, but but everybody was muted except the people doing presentations.
I see.
Yeah,
Elise
I
is-
just need the.
Everybody's been muted. I keep muting people.
If the judges could mute themselves until we're called upon, unless there's an obvious foul, which you need to do a standing 8 count, as we say, or if there's a knockout. But other than that,
Lawrence, at most there's only been 2 people that have been unmuted.
okay.
All right, why don't you guys go?
But here's the thing: even if you're muted, if your microphone or your camera is green, you're still quote unquote active. Muting isn't the problem; it's the active amount of cameras and microphones. So I'm going to deactivate mine. That'll give you 1 extra slot.
All right. Actually, we could deactivate the cameras for the judges
It's the mics, though. You're saying, right?
because we will only need them between rounds, the 3rd rounds. Okay, can we do that? And I'll call the judges back at the end of round 9. But we need Randy back.
Yeah,
we just
Randy,
need our contestants.
Randy, put your mic back on. I'll turn mine off.
All right, and Sarina, we need
3, 4, 5,
turn off
6.
Sarina's visual first.
Okay, so it can't be muted. All right, so Ryan and I can turn our mics off, and then you guys will be good. I'm going to turn mine off. Go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
No. What's sucking up bandwidth is the visual. Sarina, can turn off your screen. The top left, top right of your screen, there's a green camera icon. If you click on that, there you go. Okay, now we're going to go back to the top of round 9. We're going to restart because this was the fault was at our end. It wasn't Jarrett's problem. And we are going to start again. Jarrett, you ready?
I'm ready. All right, so we are
2 minutes.
We are at Aaron Senior Cornell.
Go.
Born 1726 in Amsterdam, died December 23rd, 1793 in Amsterdam, son of Isaac Senior Cornell and Esther Senior Cornell, who were cousins. Here we're going to jump right into the marriage bond, the Untitled Register, showing Aaron, son of Isaac Cornell, from Amsterdam, marrying Benvenida Levy, who before we knew as Benvenida Levy Montezinos. Continuing from there, here we have his grave registration. So when he was buried, and we see that is Aaron, son of Isaac Sr. Cornell, buried on December 23rd. Continuing from here, we have a whole lot of other records that relate to him. Now, the Beth Hayam record up to the left is somewhat of a source of other records, so we can use it to find more records. So this 3669 is a reference to his circumcision. And here we have a listing of that record, number 3669, the circumcision of Aaron, son of Isaac Sr. Cornell. Then as well, down here, we have another form of that circumcision. And so we have that circumcision in a different listing, but that circumcision was May 11, 1725. And once again, we see that he is the son of Isaac Sr. Cornell. And over to the right, we have his name, Aaron. Now, we have the birth dates as well up here. We have 1725. And you can even see that little X to the top right of it. And that X goes down over here to then go to this record. So all of these records are correlating into each other. And that's all I have for that round.
Excellent. Okay. So we're 10 seconds under the mark. All right. Randy, you are up.
Okay, so we have Moses, son of Bennett, and now we're doing Bennett Nachud, who died in 1742, son of Manas Nachud, and Frumedel Ausch. Focus on Frumedel, if you can. So here's Bennett, son of Manas, in the index by Leopold Popper, and also the grave of Bennett, son of Manas Nachud. Here's another version of that grave transcription, and here is the actual grave. He died on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, 1742. Bennett, the son of Manas Nachud. Here he is in the 1729 census with an unmarried son, also named Manas. And here is from the municipal archives in Prague, a record that's a sort of mortgage transaction about Bennett concerning the house he inherited from his father, Manas, from 1724. Here is the reference to Bennett, the son of Manas, in Migalat Sefer from Meyer Pearls, about a time they were stuck in Nussdorf outside of Vienna in a winter snowstorm, but were still able to get a minyan before Purim. And then finally, this record from the Prague Municipal Archives that provided to me by Alexander Putic confirms that Bennett is the son of Frumedel and Manas, and not Frumedel's first husband or an earlier wife of Manas, because it says in German that Bennett is the son conceived by Manas, by his father, Manas and Frumedel. So this is a great document that confirms who his parents are. And that is the end. And we're going to go to Frumedel next. I'm done.
Excellent. Everyone came in under. So audience, remember to vote. And also, I've been looking at the chat. There's a lot of questions, but those questions won't be answered till the end. So remember your questions and remember to enter them at the end of the whole bout. Now I'm going to stand in round 9. I'm going to turn this over to the judges. If the contestants, just to save bandwidth, could kill their video feeds, we'll have the judges up. Okay. Judges, and remember, all right, good. All right, judges, remember to turn on your video. While we're waiting for the video to come back, we had a very interesting situation here where we had a ketubah. Now, it looked like Randy was up against the ropes, and then we had that great tech fail in round 7. Although at the top of round 8, we had Jarrett pull it out in a minute and 20 seconds. However, we had using rounds at the top of round 8, Randy was using a document from round 7. So I'm going to leave that to the judges, whether they're going to allow that or penalize him for going back to a 7 generation in round 8. Whether you want to issue a foul on that, remember that will be incorporated in your final scores. Round 9, nice cross-reference there from Jarrett. a good right cross, as we say in boxing. All right, so with our contestants in a neutral corner, let's check in with our judges. Alex, you're currently muted. What did you think of the last 3 rounds? The documentation, impressive?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good considering we're into the 1700s. We're not just dealing with one source for a lot, so they're trying to do their reasonably exhaustive search, it seems like. And from what I can see in the German documentation says what Randy says it's saying. And Jared also has pretty impressive documentation for that time period.
Well, thank you, Alex. Daniel, now this is kind of interesting. They're going to Circumcision Records. So it looks like they've taken the strategic move of following the male lines. Although I thought it was going to go either way when they were starting out on female lines, Nunes and the like. Daniel, what's your take on this in terms of the strategy here? The male lines.
It's always easier to go with the male line because you have all the last names and all the names in the paperwork. But I am really astonished. Like, they have more paperwork than any celebrity in Who Do You Think You Are. I have never seen so many documents from the 1700s. I don't have documents from the 1700s. I really don't know where these guys are taking all those from.
Well, we all have documents from the 1700s. They just don't refer to our families. So, yes, but there's an impressive amount. Again, if we do this again, we're taking people full 15 generations. So that is the rarefied atmosphere that we're dealing with here. Sarina, your thoughts at this high level of competition? Sarina.
I am really impressed. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I am really impressed with the documentation on both sides, the circumcision records. I have to defer to Daniel on the German and the Hebrew because I have no idea what it says or if it even proves what they say they're saying. But I got to say, having documents that far back, wow, throwing it out of the park.
Okay, well, thank you, judges, and be sure to cut off your video feeds for the next 3 rounds. We're over halfway through at round 9. We have 6 rounds to go, and it looks like it's neck and neck here. So if our 2 competitors could turn on their video. There, we got Jarrett back. Randy? And let's go to the top of round 10. Jarrett, you should be ready to start now.
I'm ready.
I'm going to cue up the timer. Wait, hang on a second. I'm not because this stupid. Okay, and.
All right, so we are at Isaac Senior Cornell, born September 8, 1690 in Amsterdam and died December 14, 1747, also in Amsterdam. Son of Moses Senior Cornell and Yael Musafia. We will be focusing on the connection to Moses. So we're going to start out with one of those bonds of marriage from the Untitled Register. And here we can see Isaac Cornell Senior. They spelled it a little different. It almost looks like Junior. From Amsterdam, and his father, Vader Moses Cornell, was acting as his witness. We also see he's marrying Esther Senior Cornell, who is his cousin, and she is having her witness, brother David Senior Cornell. Continuing on from there, we are back to those Beth Hayam registers, and once again, we're correlating those circumcision records. So we have the circumcision 1385 on the right, and we can see Isaac Senior Cornell. And then down below, we have another version of the record. And this one is Isaac, son of Moses Cornell. Now, I should say I accidentally misspoke. The 1385, that is not a circumcision record. That is a burial record, and that's from a burial record that's held by the custodian of Beth Hayam. And that is all that I have for that.
Okay, so coming in under there. Randy, we a little early, but if you're ready to go, okay, unmute Randy and...
Okay, so now we're talking about Frumedel Nachud, born Ausch. She's the daughter of Joseph Ausch and Yentl Halfon. You're not going to see Yentl very much in this round, but you're going to see her father, Joseph, which will allow us to identify her mother also. Here's the records for her grave. Frumedel, the wife of Manas and daughter of Josef Ausch, transcribed by Leopold Popper. Here's the version transcribed by Otto Munulis much later. And here's the actual grave. It's sort of hidden behind. And it says, here lies the grave of Frumedel, the daughter of the Rosh Medina, Joseph Ausch, deceased, and wife of Manas Nachod. And I'll explain that in a second. Here's another old picture of this that was published by Otto Munulis. And here is her husband, Manas, the son of Shalom Nachod. And here is yet another Torah curtain that they donated, Manas and Frumedel. Remember, they donated 2 in honor of their grandson, Moshe, that we saw a while back. And here, lastly, is Frumedel and talking about her husband, Manas, and their son, Bennett Nachod, in a document from 1690. It confirms that she was married first to Moses Lazar, but then married Manas. And as we saw before, Bennett is the son of Manas Nachod and not the first husband. So that is Frumedel Ausch, and we'll get to her parents and her mother in the next slide, next round.
All right, so you finished your presentation? Okay. Remember to vote, folks. And we're going to round 11. Round 11. And Jarrett, you are ready?
I'm ready. All right, so we are Moses Senior Cornell, born 1664 in Amsterdam. He died June 16, 1729 in Amsterdam. And he is the son of Isaac Senior Cornell of Hamburg, which is a very important distinction, and Sarah. Here we're going straight into the marriage bonds, the under trial registers once again. These date back very far into the 1500s. And we have Moses, the son of Isaac Senior Cornell. We have his beautiful signature, which is a signature I want everyone to try to remember. And we also can also see, it's kind of hard to read, but you can see that there's the connection to Hamburg in here. Going on to the next record. This record is related to what is known as Dotar, a marriage society fund in Amsterdam, which would give money to orphans or people who were poor. And here we have the marriage of Moses Cornell to Yael, orphan of Aaron Musafia. So we have Moses's beautiful signature once again. He shortened it this time to just Moshe Cornell. And so we get all of this beautiful information about the family. Continuing on, we have a second marriage for Moses Cornell. He got married a second time. Once again, that beautiful Moses Cornell signature with the amazing flourish at the end. Then, of course, we have to go to the Beth Hayam burial records. And we don't get as much referencing on this one. We do have references to the under trial registers, which we did see, but we do get his birth date, 1664. We get the dates of his marriages, showing both of his wives, Yael Musafia and his second wife, Sarah Preto, as well as the listing of all of their children. And from here, there we go. Most importantly of their children, we have Isaac right there.
I'm sorry, going to have to call it right there. Judges know the end time. All right. Now, to rebut. Bottom of round 11, we have Randy, take off your mute, and you are up.
Okay, so now we're talking about Yentl Ausch, the mother of Frumedel. She died around 1700, and she is the daughter of Hayam ben Heschel. Whoops, I misspelled it. It's with an SCH. Halfon and Kressel, who is a relative of the Maharal. So here's Yentl, and it's the second one. Yentl, the wife of Joseph, okay, and the daughter of Hayam ben Heschel from Vienna. That's what her grave record says. Here's a transcription of the grave, and here it is printed in a book from the 1890s, Simon Huck, Familia Prague. Again, she's the wife of Joseph Ausch Rosh Medina. He was the head of the Bohemian Jewish community. There was sort of a committee that was formed, so not the Prague Jews, but the ones outside. Here is actually her grave, and she is, again, the wife of Joseph Ausch and the daughter of Hayam Halfon, Hayam, son of Heschel from Vienna. and that's on her grave. And that's going to be very important going forward.
Oh, okay. Then we're done with, actually, that was the shortest presentation so far. All right, that takes us to the top of round 12, a little ahead of schedule. That's not a bad thing, but Jarrett, are you ready? Give me a thumbs up. Take off your mute.
Yeah.
And we're up.
All right, so we are looking at Isaac Senior Cornell of Hamburg, the son of Antonio Sarajeva Cornell and Violante de Pina. Now, here we have a beautiful record with Isaac Senior Cornell, and this is from a book of decisions of different things. And down at the bottom, we can see this beautiful signature indicating Isaac Senior Cornell of Hamburg. Now, this is very, very important, because there was another Isaac Senior Cornell in the Amsterdam area at the exact same time, both of whom were cousins and both of whom also had connections to Recife, Brazil. And yes, that's right, Recife, Brazil, the community which then would go on to found the 1664 community in New York, the earliest community of Jews in the U.S. Here we have some more documents. This is from what's known as the Esquimalt books. These are books of the decisions of the Mohammed being the board that ran the Portuguese Jewish community of Amsterdam. This is the same book where we get the expulsion, the Hayam of Baruch Spinoza. But here we have a decision where the switching of the board. And who was on the board beforehand? Well, Isaac Senior, son of Duarte Sarajeva Cornell, whose signature we see on the right. And new to the board is Isaac Senior Cornell of Hamburg, first cousin of the other Isaac, son of Antonio Sarajeva Cornell, alias Abraham Senior. And we have that same signature as before. Most importantly, you want to notice that C in the Cornell and the S in the Senior and the flourish at the end, where it almost looks like a sort of Z underneath. So going on to the next, we have another form from the Esquimalt books, another decision showing...
I'm sorry, Jarrett, I'm going to have to stop you there. But in all fairness, Randy, are you ready to rock? Your mic is on. We're going.
Okay, so now we're up to Hayam Halfon. He dies in Vienna. I only have 2 slides. He's the son of Heschel Halfon. Here is what's left of his grave. There was a book published, thank goodness, in 1912 that transcribed and printed all of the gravestones from the old cemetery in Vienna. And here's Hayam, the son of Heschel Halfon, who died in 1648 in Vienna. And incredibly, here is his wife's grave. She died before him. I think they both died pretty young because their daughter died almost 70 years after this. Tressel, who is the wife of Hayam ben Heschel Halfon, her grave is in Prague. So her husband then is in Vienna. He dies 15 years later. And she is from the Maharal's family. But I'm going to do a head fake and not go towards the Maharal. I'm going to follow up the Halfons next. And I'm done.
Okay. Interesting. A head fake there. All right, so this is round 12. I'm going to ask our judges to come back and our contestants to close their video. Some very interesting competition the last 3 rounds there. We've got, a correction from a burial to a circumcision record. Both round 9 contests are getting a little shorter because we're running out of slides because we are getting into very rarefied atmosphere. Interesting sources. Book of Decisions. Although Jarrett did get some factual information wrong, it didn't concern his family. So I'm going to ask the judges not to use that against him. The Jewish community in New York started in 1654, not 1664, and it wasn't the first Jewish community in North America or even the continental United States. But as I said, that was salient to the case he was making. Grave transcriptions, very lucky. All right, Sarina, what are your thoughts at this point? You were very emphatic early on, knocking it out of the park. How are our contestants doing?
Well, the cases are getting weaker. They're definitely getting weaker. I love those signature flourishes, and I know that is definitely a mark. I'm kind of impressed with that. But on the other hand, Randy took himself to the Maharal. So what do you think of that, Daniel?
Dan?
Well, the rabbinical lineage is well known, and yes, Randy's playing a very good card. But I was actually more impressed with the nepotism of the cousins, taking one out to put the other one in. So now we know why we are suffering in politics as we're doing today. It's coming from the 1600s.
Some things never change.
Alex, what do you think of that? That was still kind of impressive, differentiating two same-name cousins and then relying on actual documents to differentiate signatures. Where do you weigh on that?
I agree. Differentiating signatures is probably almost a pretty good way to tell that you're dealing with two different people. And it would be nice to, I guess they're making the best with the records that are available. And we don't know if they're cherry picking and saying, oh, this name matches that name. So like Sarina said, the case could be weak. And without knowing more about the record situation and the commonality of the names, who knows if they're tracing the exact right people. But if we assume they're doing comprehensive research, it looks good.
Yeah, they're doing their best, and there are not a lot of records from that era.
No.
And don't forget, junior went to senior, or senior went to junior. We're not sure which.
Well, we're going to find out because we're down to the final 3 rounds. And this is going to be where the rubber meets the road, or the record meets the archivist, or something to that effect. All right, so keep your seatbelt fastened. It could get pretty ugly here with when we start getting short of documentation. But let's see how our contestants do. I say goodbye to our judges and welcome back our contestants for the last rounds. Contestants, ready for round 13, 14, and 15. This is, and I got to give it to both of you, very impressive, very impressive. All right, so Jarrett, are you ready for round 13? It looks like you are. I'm going to get my timer ready. And you are, go.
All right, so we are Antonio Sarajeva, also known as Abraham Senior Sarajeva Cornell of Hamburg, son of Heiter Mendonza Cornell, and unknown. Now here we have a reference to Antonio Sarajeva, and this is a reference about him being one of the founders of the bank in Hamburg. And we have Antonio Sarajeva, and we also have a reference here, and it goes down to the reference showing that his alias truly is Abraham Senior Sarajeva Cornell. And if it'll let me change this, there we go. Jumping on, we have some, there was a book, National Records, relating to the Portuguese Jews in Amsterdam up to 1639, and there were multiple records for Antonio Sarajeva. So I have the records listed in the book highlighting Antonio, and then here we have the example of this record. So this is drawn in Hamburg, October 21st, 1622, and we can see Antonio Sarajeva Cornell listed in there. But even better, we have another one as well, and we can even see that this is number 75. You can see that highlighted in orange, and then you can just barely see it highlighted in orange as well. It's a very light marking, 75. And he's referenced here as just Sarajeva Cornell, but he is in Hamburg, which is where we know Antonio Sarajeva Cornell was. And we have him listed down here as Sarajeva Cornell. Continuing on, here we have the inventories of the archives of the notaries in Amsterdam. This is a contract between all of these different people, including Antonio Sarajeva Cornell. Unfortunately, part of the document has been destroyed, but the preservation of the document by the Amsterdam archives is amazing anyway. And we can at least see Antonio Sarajeva Cornell.
I'm sorry, Jared, if I have to end you there. That was Impressive. And we are going to, let me just cancel that. Randy, take off your mute. You are up.
Okay, so now we're at Heschel Halfon, the father of Hayam. He died after 1632. We don't know too much about him, but he is the son of Rabbi Dr. Elia Halfon and Rebecca ben Heschel. Here's what we know about him. It was published in the book by Wachstein. He says Heschel Halfon is the father of Heim, is without a doubt the son of the Dr. Elia Halfon. And here's why. There's another book that was published called the Vienna Ghetto, where he went through the 1632 Grundbuch, which is a property register for Jews in the Jewish part of town in Vienna in 1632. I actually saw that a few weeks ago in Vienna. Here's the publication of it. It showed me where it says at the bottom in brackets folio 78. So it was pretty easy to open it up and find folio 78. And there is, at the upper left, you can see it says Herschel Elias Judendoktor. So this is Heschel, the son of Elias, the Jewish doctor. And that is Heschel. What we do know a lot of, though, is about his brother Isaac, who had a small tombstone recorded by Bachstein. And in this tombstone, it gives 5 generations. It gives Isaac, the son of Elia Halfon Roffe, like Sarina. I'm trying to curry favor with her. That means doctor. And he's the son of Abba Maria Halfon, also a doctor, who's the son of Hagaon, the great scholar Elia Halfon, who's the son of Abba Maria Halfon. That's all on that little grave right there of Heschel's brother Isaac. Unfortunately, these graves don't exist. They were buried by Jews during World War II, and they haven't been dug up yet, but we're hoping they find them soon. And that is the end of round 13 for me.
Okay, actually under the wire. Audience, remember to vote. We are taking a crowd favorite into account. So we are going into round 14, the penultimate round. Jarrett, unmute, and you are up.
Unfortunately, I couldn't get the procesos that I needed from Spain, and I have nothing.
Oh, judges, do we have a TKO here? Is this a concession? Up against the rope.
Whoa.
Judges, where are we here?
That's a punch below the bell.
Jarrett, didn't you know the father of
that? Could be a knockout.
Somewhere. We know the name. We know the name of the father from Procesos, but I couldn't get a copy of it.
All right. So
Okay, can I?
All right. So
can I finish?
I'm afraid we have a knockout here. Well, if you want to dance on Jarrett's grave, you have a minute to do it. That's the end of the round.
I got to do a victory lap a little bit. It'll take a little bit more than a minute, but you guys got to see this stuff. So if I can go now, we're at Elia Halfon, who died in Vienna in 1624. In that middle picture, that's the grave. I took that picture a couple weeks ago in Vienna. There's the grave as it was in Wachstein's book, published over 100 years ago. The fragment is all that is left, and here we have his Freibrief, which was his permission to move from Prague to Vienna in 1598, which was signed by the Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II. So at that time, Jews needed permission to move into Vienna, and he got that permission 1598 as a doctor. Amazing that this still exists. And in the next round, you go to his father, Dr. Abba Maria Halfon from Venice, and he died in Prague in 1586. Here's the registry, but there's the actual stone in the picture I took with Daniel Polakovich last October. That is in the Prague Old Cemetery, in the middle of that old cemetery there, and it's very clear still after almost 450 years. Pretty amazing. So that's Abba Marie, and here's an old picture of it. It's been published because it's one of those old graves in the old cemetery there. So there's even in 1856, this grave was published and information about him. There's a big family tree that I found, published in 1912 by Bernhard Wachstein. I'm very lucky to have a lot of these. And let's go back to his father, Rabbi Eliyahu Menachem Halfon, who died before 1560 in Venice. Here's his entry in the Jewish Encyclopedia. He was a pretty famous rabbi for a number of things. He gave an opinion that you could teach Hebrew to Christians, which was apparently very influential. And here is one of his opinions that was published by the Ramah Moses Isserlis, where you can see his name. And his second claim to fame is that when Henry VIII wanted to get a divorce from his wife, he had the idea that since he married his brother's wife, that it may be void. And so he sent his foreign minister to lobby the Pope. And his foreign minister, Croke, collected opinions from my ancestor, Elias Halfon, in Venice, saying that Henry VIII's marriage was invalid. And here's a letter back from Croke to Henry VIII talking about Helias. There's another one that says he needs more money because Helias is asking for more money for his opinion. But that's an amazing find. There are also manuscripts left behind by Elia Menachem Halfon. Moritz Steinschneider cataloged these in the Bodleian Library. His successor, Adolf Neubauer, did the same. David Kaufman, a famous genealogist in Budapest, also published this little poem that was written by Halfon. And David Halfon wrote a whole article. Sorry, David Kaufman also wrote an article on his teaching Hebrew to non-Jews. And then here's Bernhard Wachstein, who I have to give all the credit to for transcribing all of those tombstones in the Vienna cemetery. Let me just skip through his. There's a responsa of Halfon, of Eliyahu Halfon, who says his grandfather was the Maharik, Joseph Cologne. So we don't know who his mother is, but her father is this famous rabbi known as the Maharik, who is, according to the Jewish Encyclopedia, the foremost Talmudist of Italy in the second half of the 15th century. And you can read all about him in the Jewish Encyclopedia. And that's it. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you all for watching the Genealogy Deathmatch. Now you go to and find out who won. It was 6-6 at 12 rounds. I was looking, it was 6-6. So I'm very curious to see who the judges think have documentation.
Randy, let me take this from you. Wow, that was, you literally danced on Jarrett's grave there. It was, well, metaphorically, of course. Impressive, very impressive. I mean, I thought Jarrett was against the ropes with his unknown relative in round 13, but he came back with fewer docs, but they were impressive. And we didn't see that coming in the 14th round, where you were going strong there. All right, so who is taking care of the audience polls? Now, remember, kids, we will be taking questions on all this afterwards. So stay here. Who has access to the rounds? Now, obviously, we're not going to worry about a split decision here or a judge's decision because we do have a knockout, the 14th round. But I want to hear from the judges now. How did you think it went? I mean, there was a total surprise at the end, but up until that point, who did you think was winning and why? And let's start with Sarina. Sarina?
Sorry, just had to unmute. I got to tell you, anybody that can go back 15 generations, they knock it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. I was disappointed, though, that Jarrett kind of fell out after the 12th round, but he does have some really good stuff. And I'm just wondering about that Roffe that Randy put in there. Don't curry favors, but was there a doctor back there?
Yes, they were both doctors. That's why the father and the son, both doctors. That's how he got to go from Prague to Vienna. He went from Venice to Prague and Prague to Vienna.
So they got to say my Jewish, my Jewish doctor son, my Jewish lawyer son, right?
Right.
'Cause now you're a lawyer.
Right. Absolutely.
Sarina, I have to correct you. Jarrett got knocked out in the 14th. Not the 12th round. So it was still impressive.
You're right.
I mean, I know he wanted to go the distance, but what can you say? I think, look, an impressive performance, Jarrett. I mean, you're getting carried away in a stretcher, but, well done, sir. Well done. Daniel,
anybody that can go back that far, that's terrific.
Daniel, how do you think they did? Up until the knockout, who did you think had the advantage?
I definitely think that Jarrett had the advantage. A lot of very good records from the Amsterdam community. I'm very happy to see that both actually are showing Sephardic ancestors, although Jarrett still needs to improve his Spanish or pronunciation with the names, but he's doing very good. He was really doing good with all those signatures. But unfortunately, this is really a knockout. Randy had all the paperwork and the trails up to 2 generations more, and they're both very lucky. Guys, as a genealogist, I envy both of you. Good luck.
Well, thank you. Yes, kudos all around. Alex, up until the knockout, I think had the advantage, and what impressed you the most?
I have to say they both had very nice documentation. Randy had a few more sources that were correlating with each other, but not notary records. Those are always impressive. Signatures. So,
did we get a system?
But after the knockout, going that many more generations back and extra generations, I think you went to 17. So it's hard to compete with that.
Well, I think if we continue to do this in the future, we may limit it to 10, 12, 15 or whatever, and leave it to the judges. Because there are still a few people who can take this back 15 generations. And, we're talking the cream of the crop, the rarefied atmosphere in genealogy. But still, impressive. I'm sure we have a lot of questions from the audiences, but Ron, were you monitoring the polls? Can we... I know we're kind of pushing it with six webcams open on our bandwidth. Ron, do we know who won each round based on the polling? Ron? Okay, we don't have Ron. All right, well, let's go to the questions. I'm going to go to the Q&A section and see what we've got here. And I will, unless the questions are directed specifically, I will put it out to both of our contestants. Love the footnotes. Wonderful records. In-person records from last month. Jewish generation, Jewish genealogy back to... Wow, this is some great comments. All right, some questions about... I'm not seeing any attempts at fragile documentation conservation. How do they intend to preserve documents for future generations? I think that should go to Jarrett, because you were dealing with some partial documents there.
Yeah, so when it comes to preserving the documentation, I'm extremely lucky in that the Netherlands has a major focus on that, and they even have a law that basically translates to the law of reuse of government information, which basically means that any document that was created by the government, as long as it shouldn't be barred by privatization, someone living and all that, if it's digitized, it must be free and online. And the archival system in the Netherlands is absolutely amazing. And the preservation and what they do to make sure that all of it's preserved and available for everybody is absolutely amazing. So luckily for myself, I don't have to worry too much about that part. When it comes to other parts of my family, like in Ukraine, that's something I worry about a bit more with the fragile documentation and actually conserving it.
Okay, I've got a question. Thank you, Jared. I think I've got a question for Randy here from Jacob Heisler. Randy, how did you get some of those Vienna records you were showing earlier, especially the census and foreign residence list? Are they online, or are they only available in the Vienna archives?
No, I think that the two he's talking about are ones I had to go to Vienna, to the Vienna State, the city archives, the Wiener Stadt- und Landesarchiv in the Gasometer, which is this big giant building. And that those I went into the archives. I actually ran into one of our judges, Daniel Horowitz, when I was there looking that up, because he was using that same archive at the same time, just by accident. But it's a place I've gone frequently to look at things that aren't available online, and that's where that Kartei der Fremden, which is the sort of census of foreigners, is, and some of the other records. The ones in Bratislava, I had to write a long time ago to the Bratislava archives to get those, yeah, I think that answers the question. In terms of preservation, my grandfather, Arnold Schoenberg, was a very important composer. And so there's an archive in Vienna that has state-of-the-art archival preservation for all of his documents. So all of those that you saw for him are preserved in the archive with the highest possible standards. In terms of my own personal records, what I try to do is scan them and put them on Genie, where they're publicly available, and hopefully that database will last. Nothing lasts forever, but hopefully it'll get gobbled up at some point and be available to people. And so if anybody in 100 years wants to see my birth certificate or passports or any of the other documentation, they hopefully will be able to find that.
All right. Well, thank you. Now we have another question here. Lynn Hertz. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm so impressed at y'all finding documents that far back and finding circumcision records, presumably for the male side, and so much documentation. You were lucky to find a family with documents in museums. Wow, I wish I could find documents that far back. Well, I think, Lynn, what you need to do is find different relatives.
That is true.
Answer that. We have a very open question, which I don't think is answerable in the time we have left. How did you get all those records? Thank you, Devorah Wang. That is the topic of many of the programs also available at this conference.
I want to say one thing to that.
Sure.
Collaboration. Collaboration is key. To get all of these records, you need to collaborate with others, connect with others, network. If you're doing it all by yourself in a little room and you're just stuck in that room, it's a lot harder to get this stuff than if you're working with people, sharing your information, and sharing your work.
Yeah, both Jared and I help other people, and it's sort of good karma. We get help then in return, I think, and that's the key in genealogy. Someone asked if we use professional researchers. I did not for this line. I have used professional genealogists for particularly difficult areas, but that I couldn't do on my own. But most of the work I do myself and have taught myself. You saw that picture of me, age 11, doing genealogy. So I've been doing this over 40 years, and so a lot of it I know how to do myself. But I do get help. When I went to the Prague archives, my friend Julius Muller, who comes to our conferences sometimes, came with me and introduced me to the archivist, and that helps. When you get an introduction from someone who's local, they treat you nicer and you get things. So I certainly got help from professionals and non-professionals. I'm non-professional myself. I think Jarrett can speak to his occupation at the moment.
Well, I think I ought to stop you there, because and there seems to be a demand for this, that we go forward and have this at future conferences. This has been a great first experience, but again, rules. We're sort of making this up as we go. What, do we disallow information gathered professionally or whatnot? Now, again, going forward, we only need to trace one of, well, I guess it's 15 generations. You have over almost 33,000 direct ancestors. And because, Jews, it's probably less than that because of endogamy, as it's called. But
we don't know. We don't always have to do 15 generations in these. I think if we go forward, we can do 5.
But you have a 1 in 8,000 chance of getting it to 13, which Jarrett did. So still, damned impressive. if I can say impressive on these things.
If I can add, it was for me, having done this a lot over the years, a lot of genealogy. It was actually a really good exercise to figure out, okay, what proof do I really have? Because a lot of times you rely on other things, you don't really document it so well. You're not preparing if you're a non-professional and you're not doing it for a court document, right? You just go on, you move on. And I really tried to find, okay, what are all the documents that I could find for this person's birth, for the marriage, for the death, all the genealogical documents, tax records, etc. And it was a very, very good exercise. Even after having done this for a long, long time, I found a lot of new information. And so I recommend it to people.
Yeah, I agree too. One of the things I want to say as well is that one of the documents that we had that I was planning to use, we ended up proving was a completely different person. So I couldn't use it. So had I not gone through this and done that, we might still have the connected thinking, oh yeah, this is that right person. So yeah, having to go through and double check your work and triple check it. One thing I've always loved hearing from people is that instead of trying to prove your lines, try to disprove your line. And that will actually give you stronger connections, because if you can disprove it, then you disprove it. Yeah.
All right, so we still have a few minutes left. We're scheduled to go through 1:15. We did lose some valuable time because of technical issues, which hopefully will be worked out in the future should we do this again. I'm looking through most of the comments here. People are just stunned at the work you both have done. Many of us still Netherlands ancestry. So I guess the thing here that Jarrett would recommend is that you get some Dutch ancestors just for the documentation.
Yep, Dutch Ashkenazi, Dutch Sephardi, doesn't matter. As long as they're in the Netherlands, you'll find documentation.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to have Jeannie Milgram on this, who managed to get her line back to Spain. Now, this is good. I mean, look, this is all in good fun, but we're getting some great methodology here. I'm looking for actual questions here, and it's where will you find an auditorium for 540 people in Philadelphia?
Is that how many people were showing up in this? That's great.
We had at least 500 at some point, but then again, most people just have their socks knocked off. Jarrett, I'm gonna, in light of all this, and as I would say, a very impressive loser. Well, you are defeated, but still one hell of a fight, sir. One hell of a fight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was voting for Jarrett the whole time. I'm amazed at the things that he finds, those marriage bans and crazy things. It's amazing. I love that Sephardi archive in Amsterdam. I'll be curious if we do this at other. You were talking like Litvak versus Galicianer, right? At the next conference. So maybe not 15 generations, but 6, 7, maybe 8. And I think we could do. We could actually have multiple bouts in the same.
I think we should take submissions. We could do this throughout the conference. One a night leading up to a final round. If we go up to say 6 rounds, people qualified 6 rounds. We'll have 4 semifinalists, and then the final 15. Who can? It's like a cage match.
So instead of March Madness, it'll be Genealogy Madness.
Well, I think Genealogy Madness is sort of redundant. It's more of obsessiveness.
Anyway.
We don't say obsessive, we say passionate.
Passionate. Anyway, well, thank you, Jordan, and thank you, everybody, for listening to this and entertaining our attempt at entertainment. What do we have on tap for tonight, Jordan? Do you want to give a preview?
On tap for tonight is Jeopardy, which is basically Jewish Jeopardy. We have a whole bunch of new categories, including the ones we didn't get to use last year in Cleveland because someone, I won't mention Ron's name, screwed up technically. But then again, people come, it's like NASCAR. People come to see the crashes. They don't care who wins or loses. And it's all going to be in good fun. Everyone's a winner. And you might learn something, too. So if you are available, what time are we? I think we're about 6:15 tonight. We're going for 2 hours. We got 2 games going. It'll be entertaining, and even if not, it'll be that schadenfreude of watching us fail. So we'll see you all tonight. I'm going to take a nap.
Okay. Do the judges want to say anything more? I wanted to thank the judges for being with us.
I a special shout out to our judges for being
Sarina,
good,
Alex, and Daniel,
and volunteering their expertise for this.
One thing I want to apologize not only
it was. I mean, thank you.
We don't have our names because Big Marker doesn't share the names. We can all see them as presenters, but Sarina, thank you very, very much for being our Sephardic expert. Very necessary on this panel in Rockaway Beach. And Alex is coming back.
Chiming in from Israel, I believe, right?
I really was trying
not Alex, Daniel. Alex, where are you? We lost Alex. No, Alex, you're coming in there?
Alex thinks he's the one.
But I understand Daniel's in Israel. So I guess Jeopardy may be a little late for him to attend, but, if you can, it's worth it. Take a nap. I'm going to do that. By the way, I love your little headset there and with the boxing gloves, Randy. Very, very timely.
The mask, I think, fits better
Alex,
on my shiny head. Looks good.
No, it looks like
if we've been in
something
San
out of
Diego,
professional wrestling.
I got some for Jarrett too, but I was going to drive him down to San Diego and it just didn't work. Okay, I think we should let everybody go unless Alex comes back and wants to say something, or Daniel. Alex is trying to come back, but his video is not on. I wanted to give him another chance, but I think we should let everybody go and get on with their lives and get back to genealogy. Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That's good.
Hi, Jordan. One quick announcement from, I think he's having technical glitches with his mic. He would like for him to announce that Jeopardy is at 5:15 Eastern. So 6:15 Central. Yes.
Okay. So tune in at 5:15.
It's on your schedule.
I am not a contestant on Jeopardy. I can just be in the audience and get kicked out like everybody else.
Same.
I think you're banned for life. Jeopardy starts. The first game starts at 6:30 tonight. And we're going till 8:30. There'll be 2 games. We look forward to seeing you there. To the extent that we are not technically knocked off the air, that'll be as hilarious. And look, thank you all for joining us. I hope you learned something, and keep at it.
See you in Philadelphia. Right. We have to do that. Da 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 da. Right? We're gonna run up the steps. See you all in Philadelphia.